Hey everyone. So the new patch came out yesterday and I wanted to take some time to go through all the changes. I've played a good amount of games, so I did kind of see how things have been affected. So I think I played enough to make a few pretty good assumptions about how I think things are going to turn out. So I guess spoiler, right? I think for the most part, like the changes they've done to the characters they changed are good. But it's not necessarily, well, for the most part, right? There's a few where I'm just like, what are you guys doing? But doesn't really address some of the problems with the game. There is some, but there's some overall changes that are really good for the game. But what they've changed in some of the characters is more of, they didn't change the characters that needed to be changed, essentially. But the characters that they did change makes sense. I think it's going in the right direction. So, I think the Overwatch team, like I said in my last video, I think they're finally getting their footing on what they want to do with the game, and I even think that some of them actually play the game now. So, yeah, again, it only took them a year and a half to get it right, but I think they're finally kind of in a pretty good trajectory. And guys, it is very late. I'm just trying to get this video out, so I don't know if I'm going to be editing it. I'm just going to talk. And I hope the quality is not that bad. Like, I'm afraid I'm going to like sneeze or like burp or something is going to be stuck in here. But, I think it's going to be fine. I think I'm tired. so please bear with me. I'm just going to like do this like as a straight shot. There's no script. I have the notes in front of me. So the first change they did is they reduced the size of the projectiles from 0.1 to 0.075 meters. And they said that the reason they did this is because, if somebody would aim and try to get a headshot, when it should be a headshot, it would hit the person in the chest. So, okay, that makes sense, right? It's the things are bigger, the chest has a higher hitbox than the head, of course, so, that makes sense. Now, I don't think that this difference, there's a big difference between the male and female characters, so because I think that the actual hitboxes are actually just like squares, right, or like a giant blob. So yeah, that and like the Overwatch characters aren't really like that well endowed like that, right? So I don't think it's like a thing for the female and male characters, like I've been seeing online, like the jokes and stuff. But yeah, I think it's just kind of overall everybody. So second, and the biggest change I think happened, and that was actually needed, that is good for the game, is kind of what everybody was saying, right? That's the role, the DPS passive, mitigating the damage, being lowered from 20 to 15. So it mitigated how much healing you would get, not the damage, sorry. And I think that's good. I think everybody said 15 seems to be the right place to put it at. 20 was really strong. So essentially all the support characters essentially got a buff in comparison to how the season started. And yeah, I think it's good, especially how it kind of ties into the other support characters who got buffed. So we'll get into that when we get there. But yeah, overall, from what I've seen, it doesn't really... So I could feel the change. Like, I really do feel like there's more I can do and that I do get saved a bit more from my support characters. But it doesn't really kind of... It's not so much healing where it kind of just erases your mistakes, right? I still have to be cognizant of where I'm attacking from, my positioning and all that type of stuff. So it won't save you from like really stupid like plays like in the previous seasons. But it does kind of reward you for being a little cognizant of what the hell is happening around you. And also on the attacking side of it, I can still build up a kill on somebody, right? I don't feel like they're getting healed so much that I can't make progress towards bringing down their health. So I think this is the sweet spot for now. I think this is in a really good place. I'm fine with the state of healing right now in the game overall, but we'll see how it goes. And the last overall change they did is the UI for if you're being anti-healed or amplified or, things like that, essentially status effects. I think that was very needed. They said it earlier. I think they said it before the game came out. No, it was after Season 9 came out, like at the beginning, where they did say they wanted to do it. So it actually came out pretty fast, like really, really fast. So I'm a bit surprised about that. But then again, it's just a UI, right? So I don't think that was something that was that hard to do, but they did it. It's cool. It came out quickly. So again, I think they're finding their footing. Overall, I'm happy with the direction of the overall changes they're making. But now let's go into the actual characters. So first on the list is Doomfist, and the minimum damage of his ultimate is increased from 15 to 50. This should have been the case since like Overwatch Season 1. Like his ultimate having a 15 at the lowest end is so low, so incredibly low, that it was insulting. It was entirely insulting. I've said this in every How to Fix Doomfist video I've made. 15 damage. I don't think any move should do 15 damage in the game. Well, there's some, but I don't like almost no moves in the game should be doing 15 damage. That's wild. That is just stupid. But yes, and this has been very noticeable, very, very noticeable, in my opinion, especially when you mix it in with the buff he got last season, which I think was an unnecessary buff, but where he can heal in the air. So yeah, I think this is, he went from not having a buff to having, he went from not having an ultimate to having an ultimate that's useful, right? It's definitely brought up his value, which is saying something, because even without his ultimate, he was already a really good tank in my opinion. And you can see that by how many people not only play Doomfist, but how many people are in the top 500 list who play Doomfist. He's a very common character for me to find I'm playing against, which wasn't the case in Overwatch 1. But then again, he was DPS. But yeah, even at the beginning of Overwatch 2, I wouldn't say I've seen many Doomfists, but it has definitely ramped up over the last 6 or 7 months. Especially now, I see him a lot. I see him a lot now. So people are kind of learning how to play him, but I think he's in good place. I think he's gonna become very powerful. Again, because of the 2 buffs he got to his ultimate. But I still don't think he has a good ultimate, and that'll be another video. Hopefully a video I posted maybe a day or two. It's a really long script, so I'm working on it, so bear with me, guys. And next on the list is Mauga. And honestly, guys, just like Roadhog, I hate Mauga. Like, after what he put us through like a few months ago, like I have no interest in him ever being meta or even ever being good. Like I really don't care if he got nerfed now while he's already like not that good. Well, he's pretty good. He is pretty good because of his cardiac overdrive. But he's not meta, right? So I don't care. Nerf him. I don't care. If he's good, it's bad for the game. So I don't really care. But I gotta go through it anyways. So let's go through his stuff. And this is your fault, Blizzard. You completely overdid a character, and now everybody hates him. So that's on you guys. But anyways, the first change they made is his stomp damage is increased from 45 to 60. That's good. That makes sense. I think they kind of upgraded it for the global HP buff that everybody got. So that's fine. And also, that's not gonna change too much. It's a 15 damage increase. Makes sense. That's not like crazy. Now the next one is the cardiac overdrive, and this buff I think is fine. My fear is, cardiac overdrive is a very, very powerful tank ability. I think it's top 3 tank abilities available, throughout all the tanks. But they did buff it in the right way, I would say. Because if you see my last videos, a lot of the problems I have with kind of how they do abilities in the game is they make it very powerful and you can't use it a lot, right? So it feels bad to play against because it's so powerful, but even playing as a character, you don't even get to use it that much, so it doesn't even feel that good. You have less buttons to press. So they reduced the duration and the cooldown. So they nerfed it a little bit, right? So they made it less powerful, but they made it so you can use it more, which is, I think, better for everybody. And yeah, and he's able to overheal by over, I think it's at 100 or something. So overall, I think this will make him more valuable. I think he'll be kind of a mediumly played character. Well, we'll see, because the Reaper buffs are pretty strong. So it might be there to kind of take out Amalga, but we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, either way, I don't care. I don't care if he's good. No, I don't care if he's bad. I just care if he's good, because he shouldn't be good. Orissa's a pretty fast one. There's not much to say, but I don't think Orisa needed a buff. I think she already does her job pretty well, right? And she has no fall off damage with her primary fire, so I don't think she needed much. And the big thing about her is that she just kind of prevents you from playing the game. She's just this giant wall in front of you that you just have to either ignore, but it just keeps blocking you. But you know, they buffed her ultimate, so the charge rate for the first 2.5 seconds is increased by 25%, which makes sense. If there's like a bunch of like stragglers who have like low HP, she's trying to get in there and just kind of finish them off real quick. That makes sense to me, right? I think that's a reasonable buff, right? I think that's a reasonable buff, because everybody, or a lot of people, they just kind of, it's not hard for them to escape. But yeah, and also I would say, I think every character should have, I think they need to reduce for all characters the ult charge needed to get a charge. The charge needed to get their ultimates, because there are significantly less ults being used, and I think one of the big things about Overwatch was the ults. I think those big plays, those big, combos, like, oh, we're going in, they're going in, like, was a good thing. And now it's more, it comes here and there, but it doesn't have that same feeling of Overwatch 1, I would say. But that's probably going to be another video, we'll see. And after that is Ramatra, and I think Ramatra, I don't think they did it correctly. I think they did the opposite of what they did to Malga, where Malga, I think they did it the right way. So they increased his damage, right, from 45 to 70, which is a lot. I think that's a lot. I think that's a mistake. I think it should stay 45, or maybe just only go up to like 55. But they decreased the cooldown from 12 to 11, which is a buff. Honestly, guys, I think it should be maybe 50 damage, and the cooldown should be reduced to like 8 seconds. Honestly, like 8 seconds. And I think there's an argument to be made that if you keep it at 45 damage, 6 seconds. Like, I think this move really, I think the cooldown for this move it's kind of ridiculous. It's not that powerful. It's really easy to get out of, and it's, it just kind of stacks with, with his other moves, right? He kind of puts it down, and then he's like punching at you, or like, cross shooting you with his staff. So I think, I think that the cooldown is way too long. I think they need to keep it weak, but just make it be able to be used more. So yeah, and I think bringing it up to 4 to 70, I think that's gonna be a lot of damage. He's gonna be able to stack a lot of damage, because that's how Ramatra plays, right? He just stacks a bunch of stuff. So that's one to watch for. But yeah, let's move on to Reinhardt, where armor increased from 275 to 300, and damage increased for his fire strike from 100 to 120. I always thought that his fire strike should be 120. I always thought the fire strike should be 120, because it was 120 before, right? And I think they nerfed it down to 100 at some point. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So 120 fire strike is good, right? Well, first let's talk about the armor. The armor, yeah, that's good. I don't think that's gonna change anything about how quickly he dies, right? Because he just kind of dies immediately. so I don't know if that's gonna fix his problem. But I like how they're leaning into his heavy damage. And I've seen, people talk about to move on to the fire strike, how the damage isn't enough because you can't two-shot people, and it's hard to land both. So if you do land both, you probably deserve to kill the person, or you can't one-shot people if you kind of combo it with a Baptiste window. But it's sticking to their design philosophy of how they're trying to get rid of, that crazy burst damage where you're just instantly dead, right? So I think that's good. I think 120 is exactly where it needs to be. And on top of that, this move travels through multiple characters, does a ton of damage, and is huge. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. You don't need to be two-shotting people. Like, this is a lot of damage, and it builds up your ultimate really quickly. So get it together, guys. This is good. I think this is in a good place. There's other problems with Reinhardt that need to be addressed, but if they want to keep him as a heavy hitting thing that is only really effective when he's actually able to hit something, I'm fine with that. And I would actually say I have a fear that with these changes, he might be too powerful at lower levels of play, because he's already okay, if not even maybe the best tank at lower levels, because he's so easy to play, he's so effective, and he hits really hard, and people just have bad positioning. So I'm afraid that this might make him kind of OP at lower levels, but we'll see. Maybe not. We'll just see. And even if he is OP, if he becomes OP, Reinhardt being OP, I have the opposite mentality that I have for like Mauga and Roadhog. Right, I am perfectly fine with my boy here being too strong. It's always fun. I like fighting Reinhardts. I don't care if they're like too strong. Like it's fine. Yeah. I love Reinhardt. He's our boy. If he's OP, nobody's that mad. And Roadhog, again, just like Mauga, I don't like Roadhog. If they nerfed him, he's not that good right now. If they nerfed him, even better. I don't care for this guy to be any stronger. Literally, that's your fault. you guys ruined this character by making him so strong and not knowing what you wanted to do with the tanks. But again, we'll just go through what they said. So the hook now, instead of being 4 meters away, he pulls you into 3 meters towards him. So this just makes him be able to follow up better. A fear I have for this is that it will make his combo easier to do, his one-shot combo, but I don't know if that's still viable with the damage, with the HP buffs everybody got. So I'm not sure. I don't play Roadhog that much, nor do I want to, so I'm not going to say much about that, because I don't know him that well, and I don't want to know him. The other one is Pigpen. The vertical knockback on activation is decreased by 43%. 43% sounds like a lot, but honestly, before reading this, I completely forgot that it even shoots you up vertically. So, yeah, I don't see much Roadhogs, and I don't really feel the effects of that too much. So yeah, I guess that's good. I don't know, whatever. I don't care about Roadhog. Now to move on to the DPS characters. The first one is Hanzo, and it's some weird long explanation. It says base projectile sizes increase from 0.075 to 0.1 meters. The total projectile size, when combined with the general hero change, is still 0.175 meters. So I believe he essentially just stayed the same. Well, of before the before the original season 9 patch. So he's what he was before, and okay. Okay, that's fine. Again, I don't really play Hanzo like that, but it seems like maybe they were tired of his. Instead of shooting logs, he was shooting trees at people. So, whatever. Let's move on to Mei. So Mei's changes aren't that big of a deal, right? She could just kind of do what she does more, for longer periods of time. So her ammo's increased from 120 to 140, and that's actually a pretty substantial amount of time. That's like a whole second or a second and a half, or maybe even 2 seconds of her being able to kind of continuously shoot at you. So she kind of just exists to harass tanks, right? It's just continuous free damage. It's a decent range, and yeah, she could just kind of do it longer. And with the buffs that let's say characters like Reinhardt have, well, Reinhardt's shield kind of is pretty good at mitigating that, but when he has the shield up, he's not really doing anything. But even with the buffs that they gave Mauga and Roadhog, she'll be, I think we might see her more, and her being able to heal more per second with her cryo freeze. I think that's just to kind of make up for the overall HP boost that everybody got. So I think that's fine. I think that's cool. I'm not too worried about Mei. Mei's already a powerful character who's really, really easy to play. She's already powerful and has a really strong ultimate. So, these are fine. It's nothing crazy. It's actually kind of more just quality of life. I don't think she needed the ammo increase though. I don't know what metric they looked at. I think that she needs that, but we'll see how it goes. Next is Reaper. The damage per second is increased from 170 to 185, and the ultimate cost needed for him to get his ultimate is decreased by 12. So I think these are really powerful changes. I think these are really, really strong changes. And kind of like what I alluded to earlier, I think it's because Reinhardt might be seeing more play. I don't know. he might. He's a much heavy hitter now. But did I say Mauga? I meant Reinhardt. I don't know. I forgot what I said. But Mauga and Roadhog, I definitely think those two will see much more play. Roadhog less than Mauga, but definitely Mauga. So I'm thinking they're buffing Reaper to kind of make up for the buffs that they're giving all these tanks right now, because he is the tank buster. So yeah, and Reaper's really fun. I love playing Reaper. He's a very satisfying character. Watching his like shotgun explode in people's like body, and what he does to stupid Mauga and stupid Roadhog, where he just kind of shoots off chunks of their meat like the pigs that they are. it's really satisfying. I love playing Reaper. So I look forward to this change.
I would like to interrupt this video to ask you to like and subscribe. If you made it this far in the video, chances are you kind of like what I'm talking about. So, you know, help me out, guys.
So after Reaper, we have Sombra, and I kind of have a lot to say about Sombra. I don't think she needed a buff. Well, the virus impact damage makes sense, because, well, let's go through it first. So impact damage of the virus is increased from 10 to 25, which is a pretty big buff, especially if you get hacked. Translocator destroying breakables while in flight should have been always the case, right? If you're throwing your translocator somewhere and you hit like one of those breakable signs, then it just kind of falls down. That is frustrating, and it's just kind of dumb. So that makes sense. And the ultimate cost reduction by 8% I think is huge, so we're going to save that for last. But I do think that the impact damage being increased from 10 to 25 is a pretty big one, because it scales with when you hit somebody who's hacked, right? So I think this will affect how people kind of approach. I think they will always now want to get the hack off first, because it's a significant amount more damage that you'll be doing to the person, that you'll be missing out on if you just kind of shoot the virus without hacking them first. So I think that will affect her gameplay, but she was already powerful, right? I don't think she was that hard to get kills with. So yeah, especially like if you go to backline, you kind of harass the backline. So yeah, next is her EMP. I don't know why they buffed her ultimate. Her ultimate is one of the most powerful in the game right now, in my opinion. Right? It just kind of does everything, right? It does damage to you. It locks you out of your abilities. It makes you take extra damage, and it reduces how much healing you receive when getting healed. It's so strong and already so effective. I don't know what they saw that made them say, hey, we need to buff this. We need her to get this faster. So yeah, I think again, none of these, I think these are pretty big buffs. I think this is like a medium-sized buff that would make her, yeah, she's 100% gonna be at the very minimum A tier. She's already A tier right now. I can see this making her S tier, but not maybe high A tier. I think like maybe high A tier. Or S tier. Or I could see her being S tier with this, because it does seem very powerful. Her burst damage would be pretty insane. She'll be able to go to backline and pretty reliably take out like a Zenyatta, in my opinion. Now for Symmetra, so they increase her primary fire damage per second from 60 to 65, which scales all the way up to a max of 195. I don't think they needed to do this. She's already like really powerful when her when her photon projector is maxed out. So I don't know if this is necessary, and they're doing a good amount of buffing to everybody's damage, it seems. Again, maybe it's because of everybody's increased HP, but this seems like this could be scary. The next one too, the sentry turret, I don't think I like this one. It's already so annoying to play against, turrets, and increasing their HP by what is that, like by like 60%. that's a lot, right? That's a lot. So that's 66%, right? So I don't know how I feel about that. And damage per second from 25 to 30. Again, yeah, I hate these automatic things. But I understand, kind of, because everybody has more. It's easier to shoot them down now. Everybody kind of does more damage. It's easier to hit everything now, so it makes sense. Last one is the teleporter health increase from 50 to 100, and the shield increase from 150 to 200. That makes sense. These abilities, these utility constructs, I think, should be pretty powerful, right? Because they're just for utility. They don't really do any damage, and you kind of have to plan around it. So to just kind of put it down and everybody just kind of destroys it immediately, it's kind of lame. So that makes sense. An extra 100 HP, I get it. I think maybe how long it lasts should have probably been the thing that they look to buff, but I'm not mad at this. I get it. I understand. So yeah. And next is Torbjorn. So Torbjorn, the turret damage is increased from 11 to 13. And I think this is a pretty big buff too, especially since Tracer and Sombra are probably the best DPS in my opinion. And I think it's a pretty agreed upon thing right now. I don't know. I think so. Yeah, I think so. You see them everywhere. So yeah, Torbjorn does a great job at kind of, messing up whatever Tracer and Sombra wanted to do, and doesn't require that much skill, like, at all. So you just kind of put it down. If you know where to put it, it just kind of does a lot of the work for you, right? And you can just kind of look that up online to see where the pros like to put their turrets. So I think this makes sense. Torbjorn again, I don't like his turret. It's such a cheap. I don't know if I should say cheap, but it's. I don't know, but it makes sense. It makes sense, especially with how powerful flanking has become. So, fine. And now for the support characters. So for the support characters, first is Anna. The biotic grenade explosion damage and healing is increased from 60 to 90. I think this is a fine buff, especially because of how she was almost made, not entirely useless, but she was very much, the value she could put out in a game was significantly decreased because of the DPS passive. And now I think with the removal of, the decrease from 20 to 15% mitigation for the DPS passive, mixed in with this, I think you'll be seeing a lot of her now, because it wasn't just her. It's just every support character whose only thing was healing, like Mercy and Anna. They were kind of useless, right? Everybody just kind of threw away the need of healing to just characters that have high mobility and high damage. So Moira was eaten, Zenyatta was doing good, and Lucia was doing good because they could just survive and do damage. Like, nobody cared about healing anymore. So yeah. I am a bit worried about the increase of damage from 60 to 90 because, like I said before, I don't really want support characters to just be DPS that can do damage. No, DPS that can support, that can do healing, I meant. And 90 is a lot of damage. That's a lot. Like, if I'm Tracer and I dive on her and she hits me for like 90 burst damage, that's huge. That's like really huge. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll see how it goes. But she saved it to use it to protect herself against me instead of throwing it into her team. That makes sense, right? There is a decision that has to be made. There's an opportunity cost, that was taken. So it's not all bad, especially since her passive healing is. I believe the passive healing for all support is affected by the passive of DPS. I gotta look into that. I'm not entirely sure, but I just kind of assumed it was. So, okay, fine. But I don't know. 90 is a lot. Maybe it could have been 80, it could have been 75. But 90, oof. I don't know, man. I think it should have been 75. Baptiste's is pretty easy. The minimum health threshold decreased from 25% to 20% of the mortality field. So, perfect sense to me. I don't think it addresses the main problem of the mortality field, as in it has high value and there is no counterplay towards it, and it has a really high cooldown. Though that combination of the three is really ridiculous. I think it's the big problem in the design of a lot of the new Overwatch characters. But any nerf to a mortality field is welcomed. It's very powerful, sucks to play against, and it's very easy to use. So okay, whatever. If they're gonna keep that design philosophy, this seems to be, well, I guess what we would do for it. So I'm okay with that. And also, everybody has much higher HP now too, right? So decreasing how much they get to keep kind of probably balances it out. So that makes sense. And the next one is Brig. Brig didn't need a buff. Brig doesn't never need a buff. Brig is the original reason why Overwatch 1 completely broke. At least from my memory. Probably not. I'm sure there was things before that, but Brig was the big one that till this day, I don't even know if the game fully recovered from her existence. But yeah, Brig is, gosh. Anyways, the repair pack cooldown being reduced from 6 to 5 is actually really big, especially if for going every increment from a number that low from 6 to 5 is huge. It's a really big percentage. And the thing about the repair pack is that there's 3, right? So it's not that it just went from like 6 to 5. It went from 18 to 15 that you can just kind of burst into a person if you have it all on you. So that's very huge. I think this is it's a pretty big buff, but maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm not. Yeah, maybe I'm overthinking it. But in my head, it's very powerful. And her rally cost is reduced by 8%. Again, I don't think this was needed. I think she was already powerful enough. I think she was like low-key one of the best support characters in the game. She does damage, she does healing, she's very self-sufficient with her HP and her armor and her shield. So I don't think she needed anything. She already does everything, which was the original problem when they first put her into the game. She just always just does everything. She's just always good. It's annoying. But whatever. They're gonna keep going down this path. I'll keep complaining, but it's fine. Next is Illari, and I'm gonna say I really do like the Illari changes. I love the Illari changes, and I know I said it earlier that I don't want support characters to just be DPS characters that can heal. But Illari is designed very similar to Zenyatta, right? Where her main shtick is that she does a lot of damage, and she's not that much of a healer. Now, she can heal a lot. She can heal a ton if her pylon is out, but you could just, break the pylon, and the pylon is very, very, very easy to break. And it still surprises me when I kind of see other games or when I'm playing a game and people just don't shoot the pylon. I don't know what they're thinking. It's like, guys, the pylon, take away the pylon and you've severely crippled her healing capacity to a third or a fourth of what she could normally do. But whatever, it is what it is. And another thing I like about I guess her changes that I'm seeing is going to be happening is one of the reasons why she kind of fell off a cliff at the beginning of season 9 was because her her, what do you call that, her second click, her secondary fire was supposed to be like a very, very powerful healing ability, right? Where it has a really, really short range, but that while you have it out, the person's essentially just not going to die, right? It's a really big boost, and she kind of lost that because the DPS passive was so powerful. But now, they reduced that, so I think it's closer to that. So I think that's good. But we didn't even get into her buffs now. So essentially the buffs, I guess primary fire recovery time reduced from 0.3 to 0.2 seconds, which is big, really big. And a maximum charge time reduced from 0.7 to 0.65 seconds. And that's not as big, but you feel it. you feel it a little bit. At least I think, unless it's just like in my head, because I think Ilaria is my favorite support character to play. And yeah, like she kind of plays like Zen, where she is a DPS character that does a teeny bit of healing. And when I say teeny bit, like if you're playing against a competent enemy team, they are destroying your pylon. Like you don't have it out a lot. So this makes sense to me. I think that's perfectly fine. The last one is Lifeweaver. And Lifeweaver, I saw a lot of people complaining about this online, but I don't even think this is a buff. I think so maximum healing amount is increased from 70 to 80, and maximum charge time is increased from 1 second to 1.15 seconds. Like, it's just a longer charge time to do more stuff. Right? Like, that's not crazy. It's not a buff. It's just a increased range of what he can do. So I guess it is a buff because it's just technically more, but you still just have to charge it longer. So yeah, I think this is fine. I think he has other problems that need to be addressed, but this definitely isn't one of them. In all honesty, I don't even know why they did this, but I don't really care for it. So it's not bad. It's not, great or anything, but it's just I don't know, it makes sense. So yeah, there you go. Overall, these changes I think are pretty good for what they are. I think most of these weren't really needed. I think, well, for the character, again, like what I said in the beginning of the video, the changes they made to these characters make sense for the most part. Not Brig. A lot of things in Sombra I don't think make sense. But I think for the characters they changed, it makes sense. The problem is these aren't the characters that needed the changes. Right? So they buffed the wrong characters the right way, I guess you could maybe say. But, I'm okay with it. They're doing a good job right now. I think, let them do what they do. And I think we're headed in a good direction. The team, again, it finally seems like they know what they're doing. And the overall changes, like the global changes they've made, I think is a good thing. So, we'll see how it goes. So, I'm sorry this was like a really long video. Like, it's like 40 minutes. I'm recording this. It is 12:30 in the morning, and I just got back from work. Well, I didn't just get back from work, but I got back from work pretty late, and I did a whole bunch of house stuff, and I was like, I gotta get this out. So I'm here right now. I'm tired. And again, I apologize. I don't think I'm going to be putting too much in editing this, because I'm reading the changes and I'm just kind of talking. So this is just a really natural, conversation. There's no real script. I just have the patch notes in front of me. So yeah, sorry if it's kind of weird. But if you have any qualms with like my takes on the things, leave a message, or if you have nothing to say, even just leave a message for the algorithm. Like and subscribe, and don't forget, I love you. Oh, and also something I'm putting in at the end of all my videos now. I wrote a book. It's a high fantasy book. So watch this ad real quick. Konfaga, Roots of a Very Old Tree, a high fantasy young adult book with a modern take on African mythology. After a mysterious confrontation with his father at school, Marcus Jobda finds himself in the land of Kara. With a small band of determined adventurers and a robust magic system he must quickly learn, Marcus begins his search for his family, a way home, and simultaneously tries to discover the mystery of the disappearances. From escaping Mamiwara and preventing wars between kingdoms, he'll need every edge his wits can give him to see the next day. However, the more he learns, the less things appear as they seem. But does he really want to go back to his old life? With hundreds of illustrations filled with clues of the history of the world, join Marcus as he attempts to solve this mystery. Konfaga, Roots of a Very Old Tree is available now on Amazon. Link in the description.